What's going on, guys? How we doing? Today, I want to hop into the trade recap for the last couple of trades that we've taken together in the Stock Dads Discord. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to hop right into it, guys. The first one that I want to talk about was today in DocuSign. So we took DocuSign longs. The idea here is that this was a similar look to two other trades that we took, or actually, I should say one other trade, one trade idea. But the main idea that we're looking for here is some type of post-earnings push with a small retracement on ideally lighter volume down to the daily 8 EMA. So for me, it all happens as a sequence. I need to see that test of the daily 8 EMA, then the hourly flip back to an uptrend, and then we can take some longs. So I initially took some longs right here as the hourly was coming up and we broke the previous hourly high right here on DocuSign around 96.4. I entered some January $99 calls. I bought myself plenty of time in the event that we can continue to hold this up to our targets at around 103 and up towards 107.8, right? So with that being said, really nice start to this trade, actually, right? Getting from about 96.4 up towards about this $98 area here in DocuSign. And those contracts went to about plus 30% or so right off the bat, excuse me. So again, this is a January swing, but we are up 30% within a couple hours here, right? Pretty nice trade in there. Next was an APLD. We've been in this trade for quite some time, leaving some room to add at the daily EMAs, leaving some room to add at the weekly 8, which is what we did. And so now the trade's starting to kind of go back on course here. Still a long way to go, but we need to clear this $11 area. A clear and hold of the $11 area will send us all the way back up to this $14 area. There's a huge gap here that needs to be filled. So we have a lot of time on these contracts, still have another 5 weeks or so. So I'm hoping that we can trade back to $11 for some profit, and then up towards $14 would make those contracts go about 3x. So that would be great in there. Obviously in trading, you have losers. So I'm going to talk about the losing trade that we took today in Coinbase. I took this trade because why? We had a pretty much a gap over red, right, which is very bullish typically. Additionally, we were still within the previous week range, but it was a weekly inside bar, looking for that continuation for a weekly 1, 2, 3. So for me, I want to see some type of confirmation over this 320 area. This 320 area has been a solid resistance for the last week or so since we've been consolidating. We had a strong hourly close over that over that hourly level there at 320. Then we posted a double inside hourly bar with an hourly buy. Eventually, the trade just simply failed, maybe because of Bitcoin, maybe because of other factors, who knows. But this, in my opinion, was still a very strong setup. We had a power bar, double inside hourly. We should have got the continuation, and we simply did not. So we ended up with a loser on this trade. But it's important to realize when we're taking these trades, was it actually an A+ setup? Can we go back and honestly say, hey, this trade setup was still valid? Or was it subpar and we just entered a trade that maybe we shouldn't have been in the first place, right? So that was this trade. Next was an ARM. So this was an interesting one because we took this last week. We took it on Friday. We were able to take a nice trim for about 35%. And then it kind of came back down and we didn't add. Today had a slight gapped up about $1 or so, and then absolutely just got crushed near the open. So we managed this in one of two ways. We did two different things, I should say. We, one, added to this swing right down here around 143, which if we look was right near these daily EMAs at the time. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I said that I was going to add some weekly contracts. So we have the December 27th contract, so 2 more full weeks, right? But I also added some weeklies. I added the weekly 146s for about, I forgot what the exact cost was, but we were able to get about 30% off of this retracement back to the 5-minute 8 EMA, which I eventually closed. So we took it around 143 when we added the December 27th. And so I added some weeklies here and trimmed some off there. So that weekly contract allowed me to kind of buffer some of the unrealized loss that I had. Okay. And then so the contracts that we added here were about 1.4, 1.3. And so my average then got brought down to about 2.3. Right in this area here on 147.5s, I actually trimmed the ads off. I took the ad that I had, trimmed it off for a small L. So I added them here around 1.3, 1.4, took it off here around 2.05, 2.1, something like that. My average was about 2.3, so it was about a 10, 12% loss overall. So as of now, I took a trim here for some profit, added it back here, took a trim for a small L. So as of now, even with an unrealized loss, I'm just about break even on this trade. Going into tomorrow and the next day, I'll look to get some type of exit out of here, maybe take one more small ad and exit near break even for an overall net green trade. So that's kind of how we manage that trade, just knowing that the markets don't move in one straight line. It's important to understand that when managing a trade, right? Yeah, just when it adds, subtracts, etc. The last trade I want to talk about here was the absolute home run we hit in Marvel. We took some Marvel, same type of similar setup as the DOCU. If you look, right, power earnings move, came back to the daily 8 EMA, as you can see right here. Gapped up. We took an entry somewhere around 110. We held through a little bit of drawdown. We were down about 20% here. Monster gap up. We had the 111 calls, and we were able to, I personally sold in full around 118, 119. It did push higher, but those contracts went almost about 200%. So really, really awesome. It did push higher where those contracts would have went from about 300 each to 1100 each, and today would have been even more. But again, when you have a home run like that, personally, I like to close all, or maybe hold a runner or two and then reevaluate after that. But nonetheless, an absolutely great trade there in Marvel. And a couple other trades that I'm not going to dive too deep into is SERV. We took a nice trade in SERV last week for over 100% gain, and then we added it back. And I took it off on Friday. Unfortunately, we had a monster rally today where those contracts would have went another almost 200%. But you live and you learn. These are things you take note of for next time. So next time you can, have a better approach to the actual trade itself. So hope you guys learned something from this trade recap, guys. I want to make it short and sweet yet informative. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. See ya.